on your departure, please.
Well, that's it.
Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning, Mark. It's the time of year, as you mentioned earlier. It's spring, nearly summer in Antarctica, and that means the sun is up for 24 hours a day. The weather is comparatively mild, and the continent is about as accessible as it's going to be. So 10 days ago, we put on our government-issued survival gear, and we took a trip to the ice.
Going to Antarctica means hitching a ride on a giant U.S. military cargo plane here in Christchurch. Reporters and scientists alike sharing space with tons of critical supplies that are airlifted, sometimes airdropped, almost daily to a very cold continent 2,100 miles away. Veterans call it going to the ice. 5 hours later, touchdown on the 7-foot-thick ice runway on the Ross Sea near McMurdo. McMurdo is the major American station run by the National Science Foundation, a hub for a variety of field research projects. 1,100 people work here during the summer season. It's one of the few places not under the massive ice sheet that covers 95% of Antarctica, an ice sheet miles thick that holds 70% of the world's fresh water. The other ice-free area is the mysterious dry valleys. Conditions are so alien here, the U.S. space program has run research for its lunar and Martian colony programs. Scientists studying global warming, among other subjects, say it's like being at science camp, especially this time of year.
Well, it's sort of scientific paradise out here. I mean, the sun's up 24 hours a day.
Round-the-clock sun for research on and under the ice. Examining marine life in this fragile environment is part of the research. For divers, it means an extra layer of clothing under their insulated suits.
Water temperature is 28.6 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's constant year-round. It's right at the freezing point of salt water here.
There is a surprising amount of marine life beneath the ice, life that moves and grows at a much slower rate because of the extreme cold. But the penguins certainly like it. The emperor penguins act as the ambassadors of goodwill down here, waddling over to welcome the rare human visitors. You almost feel like you're being swarmed by a group of short maitre d's. And the big Waddell seals like nothing more than a snooze on the ice. The mothers are caring for the new pups these days, just 6 weeks old, weighing in at about 120 pounds. We reached the seals by hovercraft. Operator Cole Mather, a veteran of 10 seasons, says it's difficult explaining Antarctica to outsiders.
You can show them all the pictures in the world, but they still don't comprehend it. 99% of the people back in the States always ask us, you working on the pipeline? You know, they still don't know where it is.
Well, it's not Alaska, and there's no oil or mineral exploration. That's banned by international treaty.
Underscoring the unique environment here and man's impact on it is Scott's Hut, built in 1902, last used in 1917, and still perfectly preserved by the incredibly dry, cold climate.
England's Robert Scott built the hut as a base for his travels. Snow drifted in after it was abandoned, but restorers removed it to reveal the rough trappings of the early explorer. And talk about your Thanksgiving leftovers. The mutton in Scott's pantry has been around 75 years. Scott was the second man to reach the South Pole, Norway's Roald Amundsen I, in December of 1911. And this is the pole today, located on the highest, driest desert plateau in the world, at a breathtaking elevation of 9,300 feet. It's where the ozone hole appears every year, and that's getting bigger. The hub of life is a geodesic dome that shelters modular housing and offices from the wind, but not from the cold. It was a minus 40 when we visited. Considerably warmer, 800 miles north the day we left McMurdo. The flight crew from McCord Air Force Base in Washington State couldn't resist a group photo before bundling up for their one final Antarctic mission. On our departure from the ice, the giant C-141 made a pass over the South Pole, dropping 31,000 pounds of prefabricated buildings to the bottom of the world. Mission accomplished. We took one final look and turned north.
Beautiful in its own way, Jerry. Let me ask you, let's talk about some of the scientific research down there. What's the range of the research they've got going down there?
Well, as you might expect, there's a broad range, starting with the ozone layer, constant checking of ozone samples. The ozone hole is getting larger, which means more ultraviolet rays, cancer-causing ultraviolet rays are getting